Today on TimesCast, as jobless numbers rise, a look at the millions of long-term unemployed. The 30-year redevelopment of Times Square reaches completion, and Lens looks at a photographer's journey documenting gay, lesbian, and transgender life in America.
If this isn't queer, I don't know what else it is.
More than a third of 15 million unemployed Americans have been jobless for 6 months or longer. Catherine Rampell looks at the challenges they face getting back in the workplace.
I've been unemployed for about 2.5 years at this point, and I was a writer-producer, and I started at Nickelodeon, and I went from Nickelodeon to AMC and Bravo and USA Network.
Right now, the United States has some of the highest levels of long-term unemployment ever recorded. It's a phenomenon that threatens to permanently scar the American workforce.
I do get concerned about the fact that maybe it's going to be harder for me to find something the longer I'm out of work.
Tim Smith is not alone. New Labor Department data showed that the longer people are out of work, the less likely they are to find a job.
I got unemployment benefits for 90 weeks, actually, which really just seemed so odd to me that it just kept going.
The unemployment benefits extension expired this week, and Congress can't agree on how to help the long-term unemployed. Economists say the most important thing is to get people back to work as soon as possible. It's hard to disentangle why the long-term unemployed have so much trouble finding work. Discouragement, deterioration of their skills, and stigma are likely factors. But employers are reluctant to acknowledge any bias against the jobless.
If somebody says, well, gee, you haven't worked in 2.5 years, what have you been doing? Well, I do have an answer for that.
Tim Smith is trying to keep his resume fresh by working on his own documentary and pitching TV show ideas to networks.
And that looks pretty promising right now. 2 of the shows that we're working on look pretty good.
But the longer he can't find work, he worries the less marketable he and his ideas become.
And a first look at a story in Saturday's paper. Businesses are now moving to 11 Times Square, marking the completion of a 30-year project to revitalize the once blighted neighborhood.
In the 70s and 80s, Times Square was a pretty dicey place.
42nd Street was a zoo of the most highly articulated, different kind of weirdos imaginable.
This was a place for drug dealers, there were sex shops and peep shows and runaway kids. It was called The Deuce.
In 1980, the state and the city said, okay, we're going to revitalize Times Square. And promptly, things moved very slowly. Originally, they wanted to put 4 office towers right smack in the middle of Times Square that resembled really suburban office towers.
We didn't want to do that. We wanted to make it into the chaotic, popular, overcrowded, 24/7 layered place that it had been in its heyday. And we were allowed to redo the plan, but we had to find real tenants. So we sent out letters to 800 big entertainment companies, small entertainment companies, not-for-profits, and then we found Disney.
Disney was very important because it became sort of the flypaper for other entertainment companies that would be interested in Times Square.
It was a hard decision for them because the street was still really sleazy by the time they agreed to sign up. But we had the best Broadway theater in New York, in the New Amsterdam Theater, and they signed on.
It's Disney that brought Madame Tussauds, that brought AMC Theaters, and other companies sort of sat up and take notice for the first time that there was something happening here.
And that just turned it around. I mean, I think the public's perception that this place could really revive itself just changed.
I like the fact that it's a big corporate wasteland of entertainment.
And Friday's Lens blog profiles a photographer who has spent the last 5 years documenting the lives of gay, lesbian, and transgender Americans.
My name is Molly Landreth. I'm 32 years old, and I am a photographer and multimedia artist in Seattle. Embodiment, A Portrait of Queer Life in America is a project that I've been working on since 2005. This photograph is called Meg and Renee, Seattle, Washington. With it, I really wanted to capture this sweet, tender moment of sort of like the iconic lovers in a car. I'm really interested in looking at people who identify as queer in one way or another, gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, but also intersecting that with race, class, religion, geography. It came out of a total personal need to see these lives and hear these stories that seemed invisible to me. This one is Joe and Connie in St. Paul, Minnesota. I told Joe, just look at her like you love her. And I heard her mutter, that's the way I always look at her. This is a photograph of Diamond Dynasty in St. Louis, Missouri. Diamond talks a lot about the violence that she's experienced and the racism that she's experienced. So the fact that she decided to choose this sort of bullet-ridden shirt to be photographed in I thought it was pretty incredible. Seems like everybody asks about this one. It's called Chickadee and Her Family. Here she is with her husband and 2 children, and then their mutual live-in lover. Both of the women are like feminist burlesque dancers. So if this isn't queer, I don't know what else is. Last year, I collaborated with video artist Amelia Tovey, who is currently living in New York from Sydney, Australia. Together, we're creating about 26 short videos along with a whole lot of new photographs and a really interactive website that will be launched this spring. I want an archive of queer life in America to exist, and I want images that I can relate to and that I'm proud of to exist in this world.
Join us again Monday for TimesCast.